Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jagnani, and today's session focuses on a theme that's becoming central to people's strategy: leading with empathy, delivering with impact, the balanced HR leader. Joining us today to explore this important conversation is someone who has led both with head and heart across industries. Welcoming Dr. Debjani Roy. She's a seasoned HR leader with over 3 decades of functional expertise across renowned organizations like Nalco, Bharti, HCL Technologies, Bentley Systems, Kuoni, SRL Diagnostics, a part of Fortis Group. Most recently, she served as CHRO at SRL Diagnostics, where she was also a strategic HR partner at the board level. With a background in organizational behavior from FMS Delhi University, Dr. Debjani is widely recognized as one of the country's most progressive HR business leaders. Today, she mentors and advises organizations shaping future ready people strategies. Dr. Debjani, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Neha. I think the pleasure's likewise. It's mutual. I'm very happy to be on the platform of HRAI and doing this with you.
Fantastic. So to begin with, Dr. Debjani, my first question to you is, what does a balanced HR leader mean to you, especially in these complex work environments today?
Well, Neha, complex is probably an understatement. I mean, the challenges in the HR space are too large and too widespread to be able to, be at peace for any amount of time. We've got a workplace which is perennially evolving today, continuously balancing remote, hybrid, in office, all of the different kinds. We've perennially have this problem of trying to attract top talent, and the market is not getting extensive. It is just shrinking by size. There's change management because when the workplace is evolving, change management automatically becomes a part of it. Therefore, the question of not only having a good pool of human resources but also making sure that your pool is forward thinking, you are upskilling them, making sure they fit into not only today's model but also a large bit of change that's going to come around the workplace tomorrow. The working models are going to change, the repercussions are going to change, the balancing is going to change. So I think it's one big basket that we have to live in. And your question about how would you really function, what kind of an HR leader would really function best in the face of these kind of challenges, I would say first and foremost, and I don't want to create a ripple around the term strategic, because for me strategic is not the strategy, the way we look at strategy at the board level, but more in terms of doing what you have to do with a difference in mind. That's strategic thinking, to have that vision, to be able to deal with what's emerging and what's new, being agile on your feet, having a fair share of common sense. uh, of course, the emotional intelligence part is important, because with so much of changes around, with so many differences coming in the workplace, I think to keep the countenance, the balance within the HR leader itself is a big one. Building trust, building empathy at the workplace, managing both what is a business requirement vis-a-vis what really do the people need. I think that balance all the time. At the end of the day, one of the biggest challenges before the HR leaders today is to keep an eye on the organizational culture, because we have to be adaptable, we have to be digitally fluent. So it's no longer just a people kind of a thing, but we also have to bring in technology and digital dexterity. So we've got a play of both coming together. So in all, it's not only an advocacy for people, but it's an advocacy for a new work model. That's is the large challenge that rests before the HR leaders, and they've got to scale up to meet that head on.
Sure. Thank you so much. Beautifully put. So I'll just summarize the important points that you highlighted, Dr. Debjani. A balanced HR leader should be able to have that vision. Agility, emotional intelligence becomes critical in these dynamic environment. Building trust, empathy, and of course, when you said business outcomes and vision should align with what people need, in
Yes,
the organization. And last but not the least, the digital literacy that plays a critical role in today's times. So thank you so much for
correct.
sharing those insights. I'll move on to
Uh,
the next question, which is
yeah.
how can HR leaders practice empathy without compromising on performance, accountability, or business outcomes?
Well, that's a given. I mean, then at what point of time can HR take its, eyes off business? Because that's the commercial reasoning. That's the purpose for even existing. I think empathy, without making that word sound like a big mystery. I would rather demystify and say that, create the environment within the workspace where you are able to nurture a listening culture. You're there out there listening to people, and when I say listening, it's active listening. It's aligning with their thought process. It's trying to probe. It's trying to find out more about, where does the problem lie, and while doing so, also validate the emotional point so that the people don't get pushed into a corner where the heat of achievement of performance becomes too much for them. So balance out what the work needs to get done, listen with a lot of support around the corner, make sure that you're also validating your own self at the same time, because we go in with a lot of biases, and one of the things that actually creates fractures in the trust that you need to build in an environment which is enabling and where performance can be actually nurtured well is that you need to leave behind the biases. I think we have to be very conscious about that. And once we do that, be very clear about the communication part. So lay it out what's expected, clearly communicate, be transparent, and at the end of the day, also walk the talk. You have to lead by example. You can't just be talking. You can't just be prescribing. You've got to validate, as I said, your own self vis-a-vis the rest of the people so that they know that, okay, this is business. It is not just soft gut feel, emotion, intuition, not just that, but hardcore results backed by all the support and the enablement and the empowerment in the environment.
Sure, absolutely. So it all boils down to creating an ecosystem where people are being heard, they are valued, and creating
Yes,
a nurturing environment with so much of listenings, probing, understanding problem, and of course, validating self and leaving those biases
correct,
behind. So thank you so much for
correct.
clearly letting it out. So my next question, Dr. Devjani, is can you share an experience where leading with empathy has created some measurable impact, be it people, culture, or any business results?
Oh yes, I'm sorry to say this, Neha, but often enough, we HR heads, especially when we wear that double hat of a chief HR officer vis-a-vis a business leader, because you're already a part of the CEO steering committee when you reach that stage. You've there are tough decisions to be taken often enough, and I remember in one of the organizations when I was in on an assignment. Um, I could see very well, and as a team, as a CXO team, when we sat together and we analyzed what was going wrong in the company, it was very clear that the market orientation, competition, inability to scale up to a better customer experience, the marketing team not doing enough, um, plenty of stuff were actually responsible for the company sliding down from double digit to single digit profitability, and we were losing market space very fast. However, unfortunately, you know, uh, it's like the low hanging fruit. The first thing that comes to the mind of the management and the board, especially during those times, is retrench people. Okay, and my point was no, you don't do that. Okay, primarily because there are multiple risks you run. One is that you have skilled people. When you're in a high skill industry, you have skilled people even at the front lines. And when you're letting those people go, you're actually creating an exit of rare skills that is going to be double the cost or even rarer to find in the market once you let them go. Second is the reasons for that profitability going down or the business taking a hit was not the responsibility or not the reason of anything that the people at the front line were doing. So why would you want to kick them in their stomach Why would you want to take those roles away? Why not look at where you as a CXO team were going wrong? You were not able to give direction in the right way. You're not able to actually lead the teams in a proper manner or cohesively put meat into strategy, which would probably give you a much better bang for the buck rather than make victims out of people who had nothing to do with it. So I went in for a board meeting when I was given a target of 15% retrenchment over a period of time. uh, you'll be surprised to know that, but I stand by it. It's well known in the industry. I went with the resignation letter in my pocket, okay, and I had nothing to lose, because at the end of the day, while I represent the management view, I also happen to be the people champion, right? I could not just leave them in the lurch and say that, whatever be the cost of business going down, you are the ones whom I'll put under the guillotine. So I actually went into the board meeting and I fought with the board. When I say fought, it doesn't mean fight, but a proper argument with facts and figures, with analytics, saying that not only are we going to lose out on market in terms of good human resource pools, but also reputation loss. The risk of burning your reputation of being a premier organization and somebody who's doing things like this is not going to be palatable for the customer or the consumer. So I'm very happy to say, Neha, that it cut ice. My board members were divided, but ultimately, yes, they saw prudence. And this became actually a story which the MD himself carried through to the people through a town hall. And without naming names, he painted the scenario that, it was the HR who actually created this kind of a empowered culture where you need to know that there is somebody who's looking out for you. So I think this was one thing, and I'm very proud of this, very proud of this. It was towards I would say towards the latter part of my CHRO roles. So I was already quite seasoned by that time and didn't fear at all. Because one of the things that HR guys do is they fear. They fear what would be the consequences. Whatever be the consequences, you can't ethically ground the kind of role that you're supposed to play. There are some underlying fundamentals which you've got to be true to. And that is something which is very close to my heart.
Sure. Thank you so much. Truly a very empowering example, Dr. Debjani. Thank you so much for sharing that. It also highlights that true impact could really shows up in retention when you
Yes.
trust in your people. And
Yes.
beautifully put about the fear factor. It's also about getting over that fear and taking a stand for something that you truly believe in, and all
Yes.
that will add value to your people. So thank you.
And Neha, it wasn't me. Just one little bit I need to add. It just wasn't me. It was my entire team of 23 people. The entire HR team was right there, rock solid, who wouldn't blanch, who wouldn't blink. They were all aligned to this vision. And that commitment was something which was so lovely to see. It's a one time experience. It's great to experience that.
Beautiful. Wonderful, Dr. Debjani. Thank you so much for sharing that. My next question to you, Dr. Debjani, is what are some of the practical ways that you think HR leaders can embed empathy in organization system beyond just individual behaviors?
Uh, I'll take the cue from what I already just spoke about as to how can you actually practice empathy without really losing focus on performance. So there are a lot of initiatives that can be taken,
Mhm.
but initiatives can be sporadic and can be limited in scope. I think what is more important is to create a culture which is all permeating in terms of listening. Okay, open-ended discussions, open door policy for people to walk in, making sure that curiosity and the ability to experiment is not restricted because of the fear of failure, but it is something which is nurtured, because once you do that, only then do you learn.
Correct.
So these are the kind of values, if you are able to permeate them in the environment. And permeation is not easy. It'll come through a structured L&D practices. What I did, not again with the help of my peer groups and my teams, we had something called personality small group action plans. Okay, which is depending on the kind of people who were there, because people also were very different. There were thought leaders, there were people who were very vocal, there were those who were quiet, but you still had to bring them into the mainstream and make sure that they didn't feel left out of the mainstream. So, we used to have different kinds of small groups created. We named them well. We had periodic reviews. It was beautiful because one of the things that we practiced is we were completely non-judgmental. Okay, it didn't matter who came and who said, and as long as there was a platform provided and everybody had a fair chance to walk in and have an expression for the day, I think we had already won the battle halfway. So creating those kind of platforms, making fundamental values as part of your culture, and of course continuously curating experiences for the employees in that direction, which is demonstratively empathetic, compassionate, emotionally nurturing, are some of the things which we need to bring into the workplace, and people relate. Just like we make a lot of song and dance around trust deficit in the environment, believe you me, trust can be built. It takes time, but it can be built. Intent has to be there.
Sure, absolutely. So there is open-ended discussions that can help, open door policies,
Yes.
curiosities, and
Yeah.
trust can be built, as you rightly said. Also, is it safe to say that inclusion also plays
Oh,
a role?
absolutely. Not only that, I will take it forward and say, don't tom diversity till you build in inclusion within your system. Because you create diversity platforms, but if there is no inclusivity, if people are not, speaking the same language, if they are not looking at the picture together in the same way, aligned in that manner, what are you going to do with that diversity? So I feel that it's almost like putting the cart before the horse. We need to look at inclusivity, make sure that even vulnerability should be something which should be nurtured. Okay, there are people who go through pangs of insecurity, anxiety. The inclusivity also should reach out to them. So the platform of inclusivity, reading, viewing, volunteering, action speaking, multiple things that you need to put in place, and those empower people to actually come forth, because it's no agenda, right? It's no agenda. You're just creating a platform and you're telling, come be a part of the motion. So that's how I look at it.
Thank you so much. Great points there, Dr. Devjani. So this brings us to the last question for today's session, which is in high pressure situations, I want to know how do you keep yourself grounded and ensure that your leadership, remains both compassionate and impactful at the same time?
Well, it is not easy. That's probably the first thing, but I don't want to make too much about it. I think it's important to be in touch with yourself. It's something that you have to continuously do. Um, uh, I don't know. I practice a lot of things. I do deep breathing. I practice mindfulness. I'm very concerned about being there at the moment, doing what is required without thinking too much about what would have gone wrong or what is to come. uh, unless you are able to congruently get hold of your emotions first, you would not be able to demonstrate that countenance to the others. So I think a big amount of work is really something that you need to build for self. Secondly, I strongly believe in practicing gratitude. Okay, without gratitude nothing works. And for me, a whole lot of transformation in my career and in my lifestyle, my perspectives have come through positive manifestation. So gratitude and manifestation are two of the things which I strongly believe in. I have my flaws. I have my very strong points. I feel that as a leader, I need to acknowledge my faults. I need to also make sure that I don't shy away from them or try to make small case out of it. If it's there, deal with it. Okay, and once you are transparent and you are candid in the way you come across to people, you will find people also get going with you in that momentum. So being grounded, making sure that you're not transgressing the path, is not just a function of my own self, but also the people with whom I keep company, and the larger environment. but it starts from yourself, of course.
Right, right,
You know?
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. So, Dr. Debjani, beautifully put, but I personally like the first point, which says be in touch with yourself. A lot of us
Yes,
forget ourselves in that hustle. We need that
absolutely.
mental check for ourselves to be able to give it
Yeah,
to the people
yeah,
around us. So, thank you so
yeah.
much for putting it. So, this
and,
brings
and and stop being scattered. I'm sorry, that's the last point which came to mind.
absolutely
Stop being scattered. It's important to have a routine for yourself. By routine, I don't mean a structure. Okay, it could be lucid, it could be fluid, but at least follow a template, follow a routine for yourself to say that I'll start my morning like this. As I said, I practice gratitude, so at least the first thing that I say is thank you, and I don't say thank you to God, because God is not the only person helping me. There could be so many others who've helped me through, and I've not had a chance to say thank you to them. So
right.
the first thing I say when I get up in the morning is just thank you, you know. And without seeming narcissist, I told you I believe in positive affirmations. I also tell myself I'm the best.
Which is very important to start your
Very
day.
important.
Unless you believe.
And you've got to love yourself, you've got to believe in yourself, you've got to make sure that you've got the adrenaline pumping, that passion has to be projected. Otherwise, credibility is not built over a day,
Right.
and people are skeptical beyond a point.
Sure, sure. Beautifully put. So, thank you so much, Dr. Devjani. This brings us to the end of this masterclass. I thank you on behalf of HRAI for sharing your perspectives today. Your insights on empathy, impact has given us some grounded and actionable lens on what it means to be a balanced HR leader today. So, thank you so much.
I hope I've been able to do justice to the topic and have stayed within my time. Almost 31 years of experience, very difficult to coin them in a half an hour slot. But at the same time, top of the mind, I think this has been a lovely conversation. Thank you, Neha, and thank you, HRAI, for giving such a platform.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is ours, Dr. Devjani. Thank you for your support always. I just have a quick note to our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into this masterclass. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Thank you and see you next time. Thank you, Dr. Devjani.
Bye bye.